Good day, my good friends. It's always good to spend time with you. And it is cold out there this morning. This is Friday morning. What is the date of today, anyway? Is this December? Friday the 19th. That's right, we have a Christmas party today. Excuse me. Well, I think don't have a lot of time this morning, so I think I'm going to just take off reading some of your questions, and I'm so backed up with them. I got to keep my mouth shut and keep going with your questions here. Okay, this is Antonia. I can't even, no, this is Almindra. I am writing you because I feel like I really need your help. My mother has been suffering from pustular psoriasis for about a year now. You know what pustulars are? Do you ever see them full of the liquids? It's the same as cysts and things like that. You can get it in your mouth, things like this. Fluid-based, right? Fluid-based, remember that. Everything is fluid-based except for the cells. And the fluids take care of the cells. So, who takes care of the fluids? And that's why proper eating is essential to taking care of the chemical nature of the fluids. Because we know when the blood is off in its pH, death is imminently quick. So you can imagine when the lymphatic system is off in its pH, and particularly when the lymphatic system deals with the acid side, the wastes of the body, that can't be good. And of course, all the word inflammation springs out of the word acidosis, which is the retention of lymph fluid, lack of filtration through the kidneys and skin. She got it after taking some sort of strange detox powder from an acupuncture doctor that she was seeing. Well, keep in mind now, the way you stated this is that she got this from. No, that more appropriately thinking, this acupuncturist probably gave her an herbal detox powder. And that started everything off. Well, what people don't realize, and you guys are the ones that are the most aware of this, is the kidney function, the kidney relationship to the lymphatic system. No one knows it but you guys, and unless you've told them and educated them, I don't know of any other practitioner who's focused down on the kidneys as eliminating organs of the lymph system, because they bought into the allopathic thinking or theories of acids are dumped back into the venous system, which is insane. Professors of A&P have told me they thought it was insane. I think it's insane. It's just impossible. And you start to understand when you look at filtration. And, by the way, look at my new filtration device. See this? Kidneys that are not filtering and kidneys that are filtering. Thank you, Jermaine. Beautiful. Got our little kidney graft in there. You guys are amazing. But you know, when you deal with spiritual people, you deal with creativity, you deal with love. That's why it's so beautiful and an honor to work with all you guys. Because that's a side of yourself you want to touch. Because that's the spiritual side. That's the side that makes you happy and loving. The negative forces can be very strong and very deteriorating. Very bad. So you want to, and you're the only one that control whether you allow the mind, the negative forces in and controlling you, or whether you're going to stand up more consciously aware and control that sort of thing. Because only you can stop all the things that are going on in your world. Only you. You can have help, but only you have the ability and the wherefore to stop all that. So what's happened is this acupuncture started detoxing, probably without thinking of kidneys and things like that. Very few do. And this is the things that I learned years ago. You detox someone right off without understanding the role of the kidneys, and you don't help the kidneys. You can give them psoriasis. I'm not giving them the disease. There's no such thing. This is all acid. This is all interstitial. So this started promoting your mother's lymph system to move. Since her kidneys are not functioning, or filtering, than her skin was. And that's why you see this sort of thing. And that's the pustulas and all that. It's just all acid, sewage, lymph. That's why you see the burns. That's why you see all of that. After a couple months of taking the powder, she began getting blisters and cuts all over her hands and feet. Yeah. Now, I don't know what all was in that powder. And that's why I'm saying, know what you're taking. Take a little herbal course so you know about herbs. Herbs are fun to study. It's like a kid in a candy store. Herbs can do so much for you. And they're little sweethearts. They're just vegetables. And we were laughing about that. You know, we talk about fruits all the time, but you guys don't realize that I'm giving you vegetables, but in another form. In a non-hybrided form. Herbs are not hybrid. So you're getting vegetables, the original makeup of the chemical structure of these plants without hybriding and mutating. So you're getting vegetable matter. Let me see. Feet, blisters and cuts are horribly itchy. Yeah, full of fungus. Full of fungus, and this is just what happened. Everything started, you know, heading for the door. Herbs started going out. And so her lymph system started to clean, and since the kidneys weren't filtering, because this is a case where you know kidneys aren't filtering if the skin took it like this, generally the kidneys would take it and you'd be good, but the skin is the one taking it here, and that means her kidneys aren't filtering, and that's what you want to focus on. That'll help then to pull this out of the skin. So you got to go after the kidneys in your mom, and of course the adrenal glands sit on top and are at fault most of the time. So I would definitely head down that road for sure. They're horribly itchy to the point where she can't sleep. I know, totally. So you want to get on Parasite M, I would, and I would suck that stuff down. Probably a good dropper and a half full 4 or 5 times, 6 times a day if you want here for a week and get a hold of this fungal involvement. But that's the point. Sewage is full of bacteria and fungus. And it always will be. There's nothing you can do about it. It's supposed to be, don't retain the sewage. The answer to all these problems is clean out your body's sewer system, because this is 99.9% of man's problems. And medical doctors have just made a nice cushy little living out of calling them diseases and making you think that these are bizarre things happening to you that they're not sure what it is, but give us some more money for research and someday we'll find out. I mean, that's insane. We already know what causes all this stuff. It's fixing it. It's a problem. And some people have a hard way to go. Doctors have been struggling to find a treatment that works for her. Well, they're going to struggle till hell freezes over because there is none. There is no treatment for that. There's no treatment for diseases that cures diseases, because diseases is a fallacy, and the treatment of those diseases are a fallacy. It only hurts people. It only suppresses their lymph systems more, shuts down their adrenals, because you're either on steroids or something that's what? Acid. So when you're taking things that are anti-inflammatory, which are antacids, what does that tell you? What kind of chemistry is causing the problem? Acids. So your next question is, where are all these acids coming from? Well, fungus leaves uric acid, high-protein diets leave uric acid, and then all your cells eliminate waste. All your cells poop just like you do. And so you've got boracic acid, you've got phosphoric acid, you've got carbonic acid. I mean, the acids are a long list. And then on all the Krebs cycles, you got all these acids. On all the cycles, you got all the acids. Okay, are you getting rid of them? Because if you're not getting rid of them, if you have no obstruction to the flow of blood, nerve, or lymph, you're symptom-free. Because there's no reason you would have any symptomology of anything negative if there wasn't an obstruction to one flow of energy or another. And so your question is, what causes the obstruction of the flow of energy? Well, blockages in eliminative organs can really cause obstruction to the flow of energy. And when you back up the lymph system, you then can press upon the nerves and the blood. You ever get real tight shoulders and then you start to get numbness in the fingers and hands if you lay wrong or hold your hands up? Of course. It's all the lymph system. And it makes you stiff and tight and sore. It's all about acids, lactic acid as well, from the muscles. They finally decided to give her some sort of immune suppressant pill. Oh, here we go. Here we go. You know, this is the same bull crap that's always out there, and what they'll do is sentence this mother deeper and deeper into the world of hell. And then one day, when she really tries to get it, she'll explode. And it's just that sort of thing. The pill makes her feel sick, and doctors have to monitor her liver levels. Well, what does that tell you right off? If I have to monitor your liver levels, obviously this drug causes liver damage. Why would you take something that suppresses your acids in your body, meaning you can't get them out because it's locking you in there even tighter? That's scary, right? And then it damages your liver while they're doing that to you. Do you see how all this is insane when you look at medical thinking? It is insane thinking. It is not rational. It is not on point. It is not factual. It is not scientific. I don't care what people think. It's unbelievable. I know that she feels desperate. I am sick of watching her suffer. We're desperate. Well, let me tell you right now that psoriasis, stuff like this, is not difficult to get rid of. But you have to understand what system's down in your mom. This is the lymphatic system, and the kidneys and the skin are the eliminative organs to that. If the skin is wearing a heavy burden, what does that tell you or suggest to you? That your kidneys aren't doing it. Have your mom pee in a jar. If it's clear, you know what the story is. I have a question about a sensitive topic. I would prefer you not to use my name on YouTube. Okay, I won't use any name. If you decide to cover the question, I have this person has an abscess over the summer, and it usually happens, I think, when a gland gets infected in the anal region. The abscess had to be drained. Once it healed, there was a little hole left like a fistula. This is a tract that the body creates from the inside to the outside so that the infection can drain. This happens in about 50% of the people who have had an abscess. So now I no longer have an infection, but I have a fistula. The doctors have said the only way to cure a fistula is to do surgery on it. A fistula, I've never pronounced this word, but it is funny, fistulotomy. Something like that, where they lay it open and let it heal from the inside out. Do you know of any naturopathic treatments that can cure fistula? Oh, absolutely, man. Your body cures itself of all these things, but what do you got to do? Now, you could do a little insertion, not enough to give you an evacuation, but do a little insertion. I wanted to come out with a suppository of the Heal-All suppository that you could put up in there for fistulas, hemorrhoids, things like this, you know, to heal these things. But don't be surprised that you don't still have lymphatic problems in that area, and you want to get that lymph system, because that's what this is. So you want to get that lymph system cleaned up. All these type of abscesses and stuff, these are just acid sewage. Can be very stinky and very bad. And this is why it burns too. So you just all understand that this is the lymph system going nowhere. So the problem is there's a lot of colorectal cancers out there, and you want to avoid that. And this is where you're walking. So you want to unwalk that way. You want to go back to your kidneys and adrenals. You want to go back and fix your body's lymphatic system. This is how you have to do it. You have to go to the kidneys and the adrenals and start moving on that lymph system. There's plenty of GI tract cleansers, but it's still the lymph system in the GI tract. So you can go after cleaning the GI tract, which is what you want to do, but at the same time, you're after your lymphatic system. That invades all around all your cells everywhere. All the organs, all the glands, all the muscles, everywhere. Bones, everywhere. This is the body's sewer system, and it's everywhere there's blood. And that's what I would do. Now, you could do some insertion of some, if you can get it up enough and you don't create evacuation, you can do some salves and stuff up in there and help you with that. At the same time, you're going to have a little leakage there because you want some drawing power, just a little bit of drawing power. And that's why there's plantain in the Heal-All tea, just enough to give you a little drawing power. Remember, plantain is for poisons. You get snake bit, black widow bit, brown recluse bit, you want to find plantain real quick and start cleaning your blood and your lymph system. And that's just what these herbs are for. But any of the lymphatic herbs will do the same thing as plantain. Blood is probably the most powerful of them all. Poke, chaparral, all the ones that the people that are allowing toxic chemicals to kill people don't want you to have because it saves lives. Are you familiar with this issue? Very much so. Please email me back on the cover question on your YouTube. I think it appropriate. Thank you very much. Yeah, you know what? Play with that. You can use a little enema bottle. You just want to insert just a little bit there, not enough to give you a bowel movement or something. If not, you can insert some salve up in there. At the same time, you must attack this internally, just like you're suggesting they do. That's what you want to do, and you can only do it through your body. Your body has to do this. And the reason people don't see this to heal like that, and they're saying that to you, is nobody fixes the problem. Nobody goes in and fixes the problem. So medical doctors don't see healing the right way because no one's doing it the right way that stays with them. So I don't blame them in some ways from being a little naive about things because they don't get to see that. And some people, I've had so many clients clean themselves up of everything they were diagnosed with, including cancer, of course, and everything else. Matter of fact, congratulations, we just had another lady that had a breast tumor, we'll call it, and has it no more. So congratulations. Pretty good job on yourself. You have a great deal on grapes and stuff, and good job. And you keep going. You know, once you get your tumors out, you just keep going until you're squeaky clean. And you never have to have that fear ever into your mind again. So, but you always have to address the causative factors. When you address the causative factors, 97% of the time you're successful. The rest of the time, it's your time to leave the planet. Don't get upset. Rejoice. Because life is always better. Things don't regress. There's karma. All right, this is K-A-I. Kaya. Thank you very much for your generosity and all the information. Anytime. My pleasure. You know, we're a team. We're one here. You know, we all come from the same source. So we're all one. Why wouldn't we want to help each other? Let me see here. Truly engaging in life-changing. Thanks. Perhaps I hope so, because it's so much fun when you wake up more and you get your body healthier. It's just so much, life's much better and more fun, you know. Let me see here. Perhaps my question is a bit weird, but just wanted to know your thoughts on this. Since it is winter here, I have been going heavy on Hill-All-Tea. Yeah, that's about what you have to do is warm up with that. And that'll help. Of course, you'll detox with that. And you do the best you can through the winter months. You know, unless you're sitting there with extreme problems and you have to be right on point, then you can play a little. You know, warm up with some teas and maybe some vegetable soups and that sort of thing, you know. At the same time, you know, mornings are good for raw. Always want to keep your mornings fruits. Always, no matter whether you decide not to detox anymore or not, always keep your fruits and your berries and your melons AM, at least, because why? Well, when you wake up, what's the one system you want to move? Generally, you take something, coffee or something. Most people that have good bowels have to go anyway. So you want to move your bowels, you want to move your kidneys out, your body's cleaning, and then some people get all the mucus and the tongue and all that other stuff, just shows how toxic they are. So when you wake up in the morning, your lymph system's really backed up from being sedentary from the night before. Remember, it doesn't have the pressure the blood does, so movement is a good way of moving lymph. And when you're in a position or you have a client that can't move, then that's another reason why you're using astringent fruits. Because if you have a sedentary person that can't move and you have to get in and detox them to get them to move again, you have to have chemistry to help move the lymph. What kind of chemistry does that? Astringents. So you're back to the astringent side again. So you always want to have the fruits. Even on a daily basis, you always want to have a fruit breakfast. And if you get in that habit and then you break, you say, oh man, I just want some bacon and eggs. It's real cold this morning. Can I have some pancakes or something? Try that on after you've had a several months of having fruit breakfast. See how you feel. It messes your whole head up. I mean, it's gnarly. So that's my staple. This is my staple. Fresh squeezed navel orange juice. If I can't find that, I'm after watermelon or mangoes, something like that. Mangoes and bananas for breakfast. Excellent. Always want to get into that habit. I, for lunch, love a salad. I just love a salad because that's all I have all morning is my fruits. And then lunch, I love to have my salad. At night, I don't eat. I piece. I try to eat piece on fruits, but I can piece on other junks. But I try not to eat meals at night. I mean, I'm 65 almost, so why would I want to eat at night? You know. Let me see here. Hill-All-Tea, but lately my body has been telling me to eat the boiled root herbs after I have poured the tea. I have no idea why. Well, you know, there's still a lot of heavy minerals in these roots and stuff, and so it might be that you're malabsorbed and body's craving a little nutrition. Could be, you know, or there's something you need here. No idea why, but especially comfrey root. Now, that's interesting to me because the comfrey root is extremely healing. It's very high in calcium, of course, same with the leaves. But remember the old nickname for comfrey's knit bone. So just keep that in mind, that it is like golden seal. It is one of nature's most powerful healers. I love comfrey. They'd love you to get rid of it because of the alkaloids. Everything has alkaloids in it to some degree or another. pretty much. And alkaloids are always hard on your liver, as tannins are always hard on your kidneys. However, in plants, they're buffered. In pharmaceuticals, they go right and pull the alkaloids. But it's not okay to have them buffered in plants, but if you're a pharmaceutical and you have high alkaloids and it damages your liver, we'll just give you a warning about it. That's the FDA. My question is that, how bad is it to eat them like that? No, people suck on ginseng root all the time. I'll tell you this, though, very hard to digest, of course. So, you know, you can break them down a little bit, grind them up, and grind it into powder if you need to, you know, and take it as powder. Also, I was wondering that maybe my body really wants to get some nutrition out of these particular herbs. Yeah, sounds like it. Because sometimes I feel like I am addicted to Heal All tea and drinking it throughout the day. You know, it's funny. That's an amazing tea. I made that years ago for women to douche with. That's the real reason I started that tea. Because I was getting a lot of women at one time had pap smears, you know, and they were coming back with atypical cells. And I wanted to convert those cells as quick as I could back so they wouldn't have to go through any type of D&C or worse. Excuse me. So I made that tea for that, and then I come to find out it's good. I had an herbalist give us a testimonial. We never even heard of this lady. Said she had a basal cell in her nose, took it off. The medical doctor took it off, came back squamous. Freaked her out, so she didn't know what to do. She found this Heal All tea, and she said, I did 5 cups a day for 2 weeks, and it was all gone. So it was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. Just so I don't know, it's a powerful tea for sure at healing. And I think it's a real rounded tea. I tried to put herbs in there for everything, you know. So enjoy that, you know, enjoy that, and at the same time, do your best through the winter. Because it is a struggle, there's no question about it. But you know, for those that have to, bundle yourselves up. Some of you have to stay raw through the winter. Some of you that are battling tumors and things like that are life-threatening, you want to get these out, you know, and don't mess with them. You know, you'll see it every day. People here on these working the programs, getting rid of their tumors and what medical doctors call the C word or whatever. But they're getting rid of all these things because they're not focusing anymore as a disease scenario. They're understanding their lymphatic system, what's causing the problem, and they're addressing that. Makes more sense, you know, because people die all the time of treatment-based thinking. I mean, actually, 6%? That people survive chemotherapy for 5 years, and after 5 years it goes down to 2 or 3. So when you see someone that has survived chemo long term, they're one of 2 or 3% of the whole country that do that. That's shocking, shocking. Hello from Oklahoma City. Hey, Oklahoma City. What's the weather like in Oklahoma City right now? I first want to thank you, Doc, for the information and time you take to help. Oh, you're welcome. Any day. It has had a profound change in my life, and I thank God for you. And keep up your prayers. Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But that's why we're here, to buddy up in this, all get ourselves well and help others get well. And hopefully we'll make an upliftment to this planet, because holy crap. I mean, everybody's wearing modern clothes and everything looks modern. But everything's still the same. People getting heads cut off, kids being blown up. I mean, what the hell is all that? God, never knew the planet was so bad growing up. Through your help and guidance, I have went vegan, soy, and gluten-free. Good job. I have also come off all meds for ulcerative colitis. Good job. I battled for years. Praise God. Good job, man. Because you've got to get this acid out of these interstitial spaces. And this is true in the GI tract wall as it is in the wall of the liver, as it is in the wall of the pancreas and everything else. You've got to get these acids out of the body. Because if you don't, they'll just chew on you. And nothing ever good comes when acids start chewing on cells. And that's not what nothing ever good comes of that. I have been in remission for a year or so. My question is in regards to water fasting symptoms. I water fast about every 3 to 4 months for 2 to 3 days, 2 to 4 days, spring water only. I always notice starting on the second night, I will be laying down and it feels like my heart is coming out of my chest. Yeah, I mean, you could be discharging chemicals, of course, acids and things like this. You might even be coming, since you had ulcerative colitis, let me submit to you that you're probably also involved in the stomach area. there's probably a little gastritis, even though you might be unaware of it, because interstitially speaking, that means around the cells in the wall of the colon, you're probably the same way in the wall of the small intestines and in the stomach if it hasn't worked all the way up through the esophagus and then up in, yeah, it can do that. And that, yeah, no. So that's why it's important to get these out of here, because now you can pop tumors anywhere along this area, or polyps, or whatever you want to call these things. I would probably do more like a grape fast and a lemon fast, and maybe play with that first. Work yourself a little deeper. Get your kidneys and adrenals up. Get all this inflammation out of the GI tract. Use the GI broom. Use the stomach and bowel one. You know, whatever you have to do. Heal all T capsules. Start healing all this. At the same time, remember, you've got to get your kidneys filtering, because this is your lymph system. It might be in the colon that you're seeing the experience, so we call it colitis or ulcerative. It doesn't matter the degree. One burn and you can get bad. You know, it's all got its levels, and the next step from ulcerative, of course, is not what you want to know. So that's why it's vital that you get your kidneys filtering and get this lymph system moving, because your appendix is not going to be real happy here either. So all of this has to be moved out, lymph nodes broken down and loosened up and filtering again to get this out of you. And the concern, of course, is the appendix getting hard and stuff like that, just like any area of the lymph nodes would. I think I would do that, because this is your stomach area is your nerve ganglia of the autonomic that reaches to the heart, the lungs, and everywhere else. And you can see a blowback in these areas like that, kickback. And also positional. And that's the other thing, positional. Remember I told you guys that percentage-wise more people die of a heart attack laying on their left side. So that's positional can mean a lot of things. Bladder can fold, so positional laying can change a lot of things in you until you tone that connective tissue and tone everything. Same with the bowels. They're easy to flop over and everything else when you lose tone of connective tissue. And what problem is that? Oh, you guys are good. Parathyroid, absolutely. So you want to look at that. When you're losing tone, or for a female, they're getting prolapses of bladder and uteruses. We don't want anything like that. Wrinkles and stuff. Go after your parathyroid. You see varicose or spider veins. You bruise easy. You don't heal well. You're too acidic. And you're losing calcium. You need to fix that. Mark's kind of chest, when I could only describe it as paroxysmal tachycardia-like feeling, meaning that he has bouts of tachycardia, heart's taking right off for no reason. But there always is a reason. Generally inflammation or acidosis, that's at the core of this. And that sets up sensitivity. You know, the more acidic an area gets, you're getting a burning. And so it sets up a neural sensitivity big time. And you can have spasticity out of that, all the way to convulsions and seizures. So you have to, you know, having adequate calcium is a key in seizures and convulsions and spasticity, of course, in all of this. But also the removal of the acidosis is essential to the final analysis of repairing nerves or stomachs or whatever. The hearts, you know, same thing. But when you look at tissue, whether it's hearts or any other organ or gland, you got to consider cells make up the organ or gland. Then you've got, what does this organ and gland do? Within that organ and gland, you have a blood flow, a lymph flow, and a nerve flow. So you have three major energy flows of the body: blood, nerve, and lymph. Blood feeds, lymph cleans, nerve moves. And all of it, of course, all tissues fall to acidosis. My work field is cardiac. Oh, good, cool, man. My work field is cardiac and pulmonary testing. Oh, wow. Maybe what I did, cardiopulmonary work. I was in nuclear medicine, but I was also in cardiopulmonary. I did EEGs, EKGs, ultrasounds, all those sort of. I just love to play with equipment. Best way I know to describe it, it only happens at night and usually when I'm laying down. That's what I'm saying, because if you work in cardiac work, you know positional issues. And that's why you have to be careful with that. But that also is inflammatory issues can affect that greatly. You know, so again, Removing the inflammation, getting all this acidosis out of you is key to changing this scenario and changing these bouts of paroxysmal tachycardia. Usually I lay down, my heart is beating so hard and heavy, it's quite frightening. Yeah, I'd probably sit up for a few nights, definitely go into the stomach, start putting everything alkaline, start hydrating. You know, getting in your fruits, your berries, your melons, your salads, and start hydrating and cleaning that GI tract deeper and deeper, because this is all tied to the ulcerative colitis, all tied to inflammation, of course, and how that can spawn. Now, you could have inflammation in your thyroid too, or in the pituitary, and you could see, that hyper-hypo type of scenario, which could lead to tachycardia like that, So you might look at that thyroid as well, but it would be the same problem. It means that acidosis, that interstitial inflammation is working itself all the way up you, and that would be normal. So you want to get that out of there, though. I don't like any of this, as you don't. When changing position from laying down to standing up during a fast, I am used to the sudden increase in heart rate when changing position from laying down to standing. Yeah, I would definitely want to tone that. I want to look at your parathyroid too, just for the heck of it. How's your fingernails? Do you have any bruising easy? Do you feel like you have saggy skin? Any depression, things like that? Go after that parathyroid a little bit. I often wonder if this was my body detoxifying years of pregnancy. Oh, well, it's good that you mentioned this. All right, so he's saying, I wonder if this was my body detoxifying years of prednisone and chemotherapy drugs. Holy hell, of course. That's a big deal. I've had people detox chemotherapy out of them. I had a lady taste her chemotherapy 2 years after she took it. She was still tasting it. Especially after detoxing started coming out of the tissue, stored in tissue. How scary is it to store a 1.5 to 2 pH acid interstitially? How scary is that? That's frightening. That's frightening. That level of acid takes no mercy. And yet someone had to give it to you. And yet that person's not in jail, not facing criminal charges. Of course, you didn't die on them, like a lot of other people do. Out of my body, or I just had some sort of postural orthostatic tachycardia. No, postural, no, I don't think so. And if it was, what would that tell you, how it affects the nervous system? See, even in that, you'll see that the nervous system is affected greatly, whether it's a spinal or whatever. The influence on the nervous system, it can be devastating. But again, if you go back to chemistry, you're back to the acid field again, because you're back into the interstitial spaces, you're back into why you have the ulcerative colitis to begin with, blah, 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 blah. This happens only during a fast and causes me to have fear when fasting. Well, don't fast by yourself. I'm only 26 years old and you've had chemotherapy. That makes me sick. Well, I put myself more on a grape fast. Buffer these acids a little bit with some base chemistry. That's your best bet, because you could be pulling up this sort of thing. Prednisone, if you've been on that, just locked you tight. So now all this has to come out, and being acidic like that can trip up, especially gastro, because again, you have an autonomic brain right here in the solar plexus stomach area, and baby, boy, that can affect your ability to breathe. That's all the asthmas and stuff. Then that's, of course, all heart arrhythmias and stuff. That can be affected from AFib on. But there's also other connecting links to that, the thyroid or parathyroid and calcium. Calcium's a major component, and you probably lost a lot of it with all this inflammation. So take a look at the parathyroid, but you want to get after your kidneys, you want to get after all this stuff and get yourself filtered, man. I'm telling you. Nirvanic, fresh, ripe, navel orange juice. My toes are curling right now. Why no vegetables? We've covered that quite a bit. You can have vegetables, but when you're detoxifying, the more vegetables you have over fruits, the less the detox. So if you want to dig deep interstitially in your body, or you've got a neurological problem, you want the fruits, berries, far over the vegetables. The other thing with the vegetables, I don't have the chart to show you somewhere here. Look at the teeth. Look at the teeth. And we've showed you this chart before. Look at the teeth of a cow or a horse or an elephant. And you note, watch them how they chew. They're grinding. That's because it's well established that vegetables have high fiber, much higher than humans or most animals can deal with, especially omnivores. Yet omnivores still eat a lot of vegetables. Remember, a grizzly bear, 65% of his diet is sagegrass. 65% of the diet of a grizzly bear. A black bear, most of their diets is veggies and berries and tubers and things like that. And of course, whatever they can find in their trash cans. But if you're living life and you want to be healthy, I recommend one salad a day. If you want a green drink's okay. If you want to be more dynamic and healthier than that, spend some time as a fruitarian. But I don't mind one salad a day. It's a good balance. But you want your fruits, berries, and melons in the mornings to flush, clean, and enhance. And at night it wouldn't be bad. That way you go to bed with a nice clean gut. All the energy's not here. It's here, so you can have more lucid dreaming, more out-of-body experiences, and less... Dear Dr. Morris, what do you think about small intestinal bacteria overgrowth? It's easy to get rid of that. But why? Because you're going to always reseat that back. And again, mutation of a strain like MRSA, I mean, we're mutating strains because you can't kill God. It will mutate to become stronger. Well, the problem is it's a lack of understanding of their issue. What is the role of bacterium in nature? And especially in a sewer system. You see where we're going here? Essential. Essential. You got to have. It's your condition or terrain or culturing medium that's the problem. Everybody's always after H. pylori. When we all create the setup, you've got to remember that when you're a dead animal eater, you're putting putrefaction and nasty meat that's breaking down, tissue, dead cells, into your gut. Expect nature to send in the more proteolytic types to deal with this. So you can't go back and remember the story about the young man that had lymphoma that found a northern Alaskan, an Eskimo, to help him overcome this. Remember on Ripley's Believe It or Not? And just 3 months on rotten food cleaned his lymphoma out. Why? And it goes right back to the role of bacterium. You know, man, the average person doesn't fear anything like that. Only the elitist academics do. I find that amazing. What we need to do is take all these medical doctors and all these people that are all in these schools, getting all this education, take them on the farm for a while. Work them on the farm for a while. I guarantee you we can change the way they perceive things. But they're in their little rooms and away from everything, little boys in bubbles. Well, that's not how you build natural immunity. And you don't build natural immunity by vaccinated immunity, and you don't gain anything by putting toxins in toxic bodies. Are all hazel eyes truly green or blue? Blue. Always blue. There's only blue or brown eyes in every person on this planet. Now there are some reptilians, you got to be careful when they shift. You might see some multicolors. Sarcoidosis. Sarcoidosis. First, my deepest appreciation, oh, thanks. Appreciate that. You have opened my eyes to the spiritual realm. I hope so. Because let me tell you, if you get what I'm saying, you can go far. Let me tell you. And I appreciate the guy that understood the aloneness, because it's just hard to explain. But if you look at all the greats, they found a way to spend days, if not months, if not years. The story of Malarapa is extremely inspiring. And there's a lot of stories like that that go out to these great spiritual beings that were put in dungeons or they were locked in caves for months, if not years. You talk about getting into the alone state, but that's why. Because you're only faced with the only one reality that's all you have, and that's yourself. And once you go through that door, and I can't tell you, you just got to get alone and spend time with yourself. But if you understand and break through that, and you understand about thinking and thoughts, and you understand to stop thinking and to become more aware that your thoughts are simply those things of desire, and that when you break that chain, you become more awake. All of this is take you down an incredible road of awareness and seeing things that others can't see because they're too busy, lost in their minds. Most people are lost in chains of thought. And they go from one thought to another thought to another thought, one emotion to another emotion, one desire from another desire. Rarely do people kick back and just take it easy. And you're seeing the need to do that more and more. People kicking back, taking more time. And it's essential to do that. But you have to do it the right way. And if you go through that door of aloneness, you'll find that which is the all. Secondly, I would like some advice from my father, who is 50. You must be a young man or woman, and has been suffering from sarcoidosis in the lungs for the past 7 years. You know, you got to get this. Your dad needs to focus, and I hope your dad can pick this up, because this is where a man needs to go 100% raw. And I would move myself in wintertime, but I'd move myself out to this winter into the high fruit line, and I would start cleaning myself up. You want to get your kidneys filtering the same thing, because you scar yourself up like a banshee. You want to get all this stuff filtering out. I would do lungs number 2 myself. I would do 3 lung tea. That helps breaking up hardened sputum and stuff and loosen up these things. And any scar tissue and all that, the body will eat all this up. But you've got to get into these interstitial spaces, because it doesn't matter the diagnosis. This is all about acidosis and what happens to tissue with that ending result of chemistry and the buildup of this chemistry. Mucus just becomes hardened. If you think about, mucus is at the core of everything. Every cold and flu-like symptom, most diseases, they call diseases, always have some degree of mucus. Matter of fact, when you look at some of these researchers' papers on cancers, they talk about all the hardened mucus and stuff around cells and tumors. Well, why? It all takes you to the one system that we all know is the problem, the lymphatic system. This is why they're all lymphomas. That's why everything has a lymphatic side to that. Recently, he has cut down on his meat and milk consumption. You mean he's drinking milk with this diagnosis? Nobody ever told him that you don't drink milk with anything that deals with the lungs or the respiratory or brain? You never do the milk. And you want to get this man needs to drop these 2 food sources, if you can call them food sources, because I don't consider meat food nor milks. I mean, by the time you ultra-pasteurize, no cow thinks that milk is milk anymore either. You don't feed baby calves pasteurized milk, but they'll be more than happy to let you feed your baby it. What? I mean, it's crazy. So you really this is really vital that this man change his diet and get strong in here, because nothing ever comes good with this. But he isn't convinced that removing these products completely and remaining on a plant-based diet would improve, cure his condition. That's because he doesn't understand what's causing his condition. If you don't understand what causes things, you don't understand the lymph system, you don't understand chemistry, just the 2 sides and the nature of the 2 sides, that's all I ask. Understand you live in a world totally of chemistry, and there's only 2 sides to chemistry. And chemistry either falls on one side or the other. There's no neutral chemistry. Chemistry is chemistry. So there's some degree of pH, one factor, one way or another. That's all life is. And all your lungs are is the same thing as the liver is, the same thing as everything is, a bunch of cells and 2 fluids. And so you have to look at what you're ingesting when you have symptomology. Because if you don't, you're being fooled. And if you're being fooled and you want to buy into that, go ahead. You're the one that suffers. But it's very fixable stuff, but you have to learn how you're creating this. And no one does milk anymore today that has any degree of awareness, because it's the most mucus congesting forming food. And now you got all that mucus that gets hard in there, and now you start having serious problems with the cells. So your dad has to get more with these videos and understand what's causing these problems. All man's problems. 99% of man's problems come from the acid side of chemistry, not the base side of chemistry. This is a base-dominant planet for one reason, and that's so life can live here. Life cannot live on an acidic planet. Nothing can live in high acid. Well, we do see bacteria and some things, some plant life way, way down in the bottom of the oceans that are surviving extreme heat conditions, freaking out scientists. Me too. But, that's God again. I have tried to explain to him that sarcoidosis, I like to say doisis, just for the fun, can be cured through diet alone. Well, you got to get into the herbs, get that lymph system moving, and he's going to have some healing crisis too, and he could have bronchitis and pneumonia type symptoms as his body's cleaning itself, so he can expect this sort of thing. But he's only 50 years old. Time to wake up, Dad. You're only 50. Wake up and understand that you're eating the wrong food you were lied to. And now you're willing to fight over the food when you don't know that it's a food that's causing it, because that's the only thing you're doing, unless you're working in a foundry or working somewhere where you're inhaling some nasty acid chemistry, because that on top of your diet is a killer. I would likely to see my father healthy and would really appreciate some of your guidance on how my father can take his first steps. Get on the, thank you, sweetheart. Get on the, get him on the detox program and let him review these videos. But if I was him, I'd get up on the fruits and berries, because I'm going to tell you something. Of all your cases you guys are going to work with, your luggers are the most scariest, because breathing is essential. And when you start having things like sarcoidosis and all these other type of things, you can end up in some serious stuff. So it's enough that you want to get your dad. But sometimes people are not willing to wake up, and they're going to suffer for a long time with their problems. And whenever it comes to breathing and lung problems, that's the worst. Resubmitted. It's impossible to be a fruitarian, but it's the only way to help. Isn't that funny? This is Brianna Lee again. Hi, Brianna. In your last video, you said that it's impossible in the U.S. to be a fruitarian. Could you explain what you mean by that? Well, that's easy, honey. You could be, if you were down here in Florida maybe, or South Texas, or somewhere, maybe in California, where you are wrapped totally around some good food, the ability to get good food. If you're going to make a lifestyle of what you need to for your health, or for your species, I don't care what species it is, you want to have good food. And so, especially for fruitarians, fruit is the most powerful food on the planet. Well, I would say berries. Berries and fruit, ripe, grown properly, fruit. Can't explain the taste. It's so incredible. And the power to heal. And I think before I tried to show you and demonstrate to you that in human mother's milk, the content of the proteins and the lipids and everything else are real close to the fruits. A little more lipids than the fruits, of course, but way down, less than 1% of protein in mother's milk. So you got to look at that and realize we're thinking in wrong ways. You have to start thinking of more the way your body's designed, the type of foods that fit that. Well, since we're so perverted as a race, we don't even know. We have arguments, and we have schools that teach wrong things, and we have all kinds of things going on. And animals in nature just eat intuitively the way they're supposed to. They haven't lost their spirituality. Man's mind has taken him so far out of his spirituality that you have to define to the mind what it is you're supposed to eat. Because we live by the mind, and the mind is totally conditioned. So we have the American dietetics ridiculousness conditioning your minds. And so we have a lot of special interest groups learning how to have slick commercials to condition your mind, because that sells product. It doesn't matter the truth of it all. And that's why I say, Look at the humans and how they're suffering, and just take a look at their diets. And all the humans now that are changing their diets and getting away from suffering. The proof is there, easy to understand, Brianna. I thought being a fruitarian is the only way to get healthy. It's the only way, in my opinion. Fruits, berries, and melons are the only way to dig in deep into the body in detoxification. If you so choose to live that way, you're going to have some incredible experiences. Do you need to? I don't know. I couldn't, and I would love to, because the level of how good you feel. There's no words to describe how good you feel when acids are out and everything's moving good. You don't even know you have a physical body. There's nothing to let you know that you're carrying a body around with you. There's nothing to tell you because everything's working so well. There's no inflammation. Everything is working well. There's no obstructions. You poop perfect. You pee perfect. There's no residues on your butt from poop because there's no sticky, gluey starch involved. I mean, so everything is good. You keep self-cleanse. You don't stink. You smell good. Everything changes. But you have to also understand man's consciousness has been ingrained the wrong way. And man has been eating the wrong way, unless you're an older islander, you've been eating the wrong way for generations. So you can't just jump from an extreme perverted way of eating into the highest form of eating overnight and expect everybody to get along with that, the cells and everything else. It takes a while to regenerate and to change the understanding of the human body from its pervertedness. But it loves it, and it loves it from the beginning you start on the program. Look at this. Any one of you can take a 30-day raw food diet. And then after 30 days, or even 2 weeks, go out and have you a cooked meal of meat and potatoes and all that. You know exactly how you're going to feel. And if you don't, you should try this. Because it's not me you need to believe, it's yourself. You need to experiment and try these things. You don't want to disbelieve people by the mind, because that's completely conditioned. Wrap on the robe, strap on yourself on the bull, and take a ride, baby. And then you'll know for yourself. And then you don't have to believe anybody. Your knowledge comes from self-experimentation, not from books and people listening to other people's experiences. You want to wear the robe, baby. Is it not healthy or suitable to be a fruitarian in the United States? No, and it's interesting that you use the little u and the little s. In the United States. I find it's interesting how you spelled that. Did you know that? Did you do that on purpose? Because you use caps in other places. I find that interesting. You know, it's all how you spell things in law. So, United States has around 300 different definitions to it. Get Black's Law Dictionary sometime and look up UCC, Uniform Commercial Code, not law, color of law. It's a set of codes, European codes, that we decided to live by. So when you get pulled over by a cop, he's not going to pull you over under the law. He's going to pull you under the code. And they're told the code is law, of course, but it's actually working under color of law. These are not statutes that are proper statutes. But it's interesting that you use that. I just found that interesting because how you spell state, capital or little s, makes a difference between you're talking about federal states or the 50 United States. There's a big difference. And that is a big difference in jurisdiction. So you can imagine the federal government doesn't want you to know the truth of how you spell things because they want total jurisdiction over its people. They don't care about state jurisdiction. This government now is trying to override all jurisdictions. Of course, the Supreme Court stopped them and said, you don't have jurisdiction. Do you realize the Supreme Court told them they didn't have jurisdiction over your health care issues. Do you remember that? So under the Commerce Clause, they couldn't get a universal health care because they don't have jurisdiction. The Supreme Court said you don't have jurisdiction over people's health. People don't realize that. But they did it under a tax. So when you pay your health care premiums, you're paying a tax, not a health care premium. It only appears that way. Yes?
May I interrupt you?
Yeah.
I know you're on a roll.
That's okay. I'm good. Is there anything you can talk about while it's on?
I forgot. No. I need you to do one of these.
Okay. All right. Take a little break here. There's our Christmas party this afternoon. Oh, I thought we did ours. I thought I sang one, no? I did do.
You did, but I forgot that one.
Oh, yeah. That was fast.
Thank you. Sorry.
No. What'd you think of the lady?
Love her.
Love her?
Shannon used to work with her too.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Did we hire? Good. Then we can start trading Elizabeth for the. Okay. Good. Love it. Good deal. And we just hired another lady for the phones because we're Jen B is going to start being a practitioner. She's got a lot of medical experience and she's been studying for years in her time. And she's a good soul. Most of you know that. What are we trying to say here? And if it's impossible, why should people living in the U.S. try and only eat fruit? Brianna, honey. No. You're making more out of it than you need to, sweetheart. No. I'm just saying that if you want to live full-time and be a really good fruitarian, you better do it more in the tropics. You better do it more in Costa Rica or somewhere in the south somewhere, because you have healthier food and everything else. We just, we pretty much cook our food before they come in, even raw. I think they said that they radiate food at around 200 angstroms. And it's like, or rads, I mean. So it's like, what? We don't even like CAT scans because we know at 200 and some rads, cancer causing. So you're radiating our food. So this is the other thing, Brent. If you realize that our foods are radiated and some are dipped in bleach and formaldehydes and other things, you got to realize that unless it comes in the States, and then in the States, it's just the States don't know how to raise proper fruit. Look at California. I get organic oranges from California, this big. Florida organics are this big. When I see organic, I want to see large, I want to see sweet as honey, I want to feel chemistry in there. Well, we just don't have that in the States, sweetheart. So if you're living exclusively on a food that you're depending on for your nutrition, you want it nature-made, and man is just using high nitrogen fertilizers. He's acidifying his trees. He's acidifying his food. I mean, man has just got out of kilter. Instead of mulching and using natural means of refertilizing, we use chemicals. Well, it's unbalanced soil chemistry and everything else. So now plants are inferior. Plants are consumed by microbes and pests all the time because we're developing inferior plants. That's what I'm saying to you, Bianca. You got to realize that's the only reason I'm saying that. Can we turn that around? But of course not. But you have to have the people willing to do that. You have to have the understanding first that we need to do that. Because without the proper understanding that we need to do that, then we're going to still have the farmers just as long as they get their yields and they get their money. That's not what I'm doing this video for, is it? And we all need to realize there has to be our livelihood also has to be in giving others the best. When I build a house, I make sure it is built to the max. Because when I leave that, it's got a stamp on there that's a quality built home. In Florida here, the builders don't build quality homes like the northern builders. And I'm a northern builder, so we build down here like, the building department down here, their inspectors always used to say, I don't even have to go out on your job. Because they know the way we build and the way we do things. And I've always felt that. When you do something, do it in the name of God. You're doing this because you are a vehicle for the divine. And what you're producing is to show others your divinity. So anything worth doing, remember that old saying? Anything worth doing is worth doing right. I don't believe in half-assing nothing. I wasn't raised that way. But I believe in quality, too. And we can turn our heads and we can, with our awareness and what we've learned and what we can do naturally, the food we can have anywhere. We can use massive greenhouses, but who cares? Look at the money that we're spending on special interest groups just in this new bill we passed. We could have put all that to pyramid greenhouses and done some incredible work, but we're not there yet. We're still playing in fields of dreams and ridiculousness. We're still corrupt. It's horrible. All right, subject, something to stimulate my son's pituitary gland. We were just talking about that. Oh, hi, Drew. Oh, this is the one. Yeah, this is the one Drew was just telling me about. This is the one we were just talking about when we first turned this on. Hi, Drew. My mom and I are big fans of what you and Dr. Morse do. Yeah. You know what? Your mom got it down right here. My son is going to be 10 in January, and he is 4 foot 6 inches and 59 pounds. He is a good little basketball player, but simply the smallest kid on the court. Well, again, you can see here where you're 6'5". Your dad was 6'3", and my wife is 5'4". So you have genetics in the pituitary, I think, hitting from both sides. So, yeah, you're going to need to do that. Remember, when you have a pituitary weakness, 9 times out of 10, you have a transverse colon problem too, because this transverse colon is pretty much attached to your brain. This is the symbiotic relationship here. And so this transverse bows everything to sinus drainage and your pineal and pituitary and everything else. You can see that in the iris all the time. So you want to clean up the bowels. That's number one as well. Get the kidneys filtered, clean up the bowels, but you want to go. And 10 years old, I would try the pituitary herbs first and see if that's enough to inspire the growth. And get them away from the thing. You think meat and things make people grow. It doesn't. It creates acidosis and can stunt growth. You want superior. What you could do is some green drinks. You know, put some greens in there to help with some more amino acids and stuff. At the same time, you're kicking up the pituitary. But keep in mind, protein content of the milks and everything are very low. It's not what you want. You want utilization. You want proper digestion. You want all this stuff. How the body works, the 4 phases we've talked about. Proper digestion, proper absorption, proper utilization, and proper elimination. We're just having to go back to fix the elimination so we can go back and fix the other 3. Because the elimination quit. In most people, there's very little elimination of cellular acids anymore. So everybody's getting swollen and inflamed and fat and all kinds of problems. Or extremely thin, emaciated, that sort of thing. So we think she got more of my wife's genes. It's possible, but 5'6" is also pituitary. So I see it in both sides of the family. Is there anything we can do to increase his growth? Absolutely. My 8-year-old daughter is a beast, taller, stronger, etc. than my son. Yeah, I'll go to your son and fix the endocrine glands. I'd fix his kidneys and everything else while I'm doing it. With your son, though, you could do 1 kidney formula, 1 lymphatic formula. I would do the pituitary formula, maybe even the endocrine gland with the pituitary formula. You could do that. You could do upper circulation and brain and nerve. Those are 2 extra ones if you want your son to excel in school. Fix him up right. Get upper circuit, blood moving, more oxygenated blood moving through the pituitary and the hypothalamus and the brain area. At the same time, use brain and nerve. That'll increase his comprehension levels. That'll increase his ability to perceive. We've done all kinds of neat things. Remember I told you about that glandular lady? This is just the tip of the iceberg. We've had children on brain and nerve and seen them excel in school. They're like nobody's business. Cool stuff. It's so cool what you can do with herbs. It's unbelievable. Well, I've got a lot of things to go do. We got our party for our club here, so I love you guys and I appreciate it. And I apologize if I get a little gnarly sometimes on these videos, but got to realize I've had a lot of years watching some insane stuff and some very sick, advanced people, and it just tears my heart apart. And after a while, enough's enough. There's got to be lines in the sand, and we're the ones that need to draw them. Because if we don't draw them now, they can't be drawn, because we brought this out to the finest we could to you, as simple as we could. There's not even the quick way to get to God consciousness or put your feet on that route. So everything here is as simple as we can possibly get to change this consciousness. So it's up to you guys to help me do this, and I think we're doing a good job. A lot of people are getting their remedy, and congratulations to the lady that cleaned up her breast tissue. C word, as we call it. But we love you guys, and take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for all your cards of love and everything. I appreciate every single thing. Love you much.